What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 418 of Opinions May Vary. I'm your host, JR, my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
It is just us. It's justice, just the two of us. There's a sticker that says that now. You can buy it, omvpodcast.bigcartel.com, right? Did I get that?
Yes.
Nailed it. Got it in one. There is a sticker that says that with a nice little beautiful image of Alex and I shrugging, drawn by our very good friend Seymour. Um, it's justice, so we apologize ahead of time, but we're here to. I hit up Alex and I was like, I'm feeling festive. We are less than a week away, or just about a week
Mm-hmm.
from Christmas. The holidays are pretty much right upon us. Depending on whatever you celebrate. But I was feeling festive, and being the nerds and children of fandoms that we are, I figured it would be only appropriate and not appropriate. I think it'd be fun to talk about the things that we wanted growing up. Everyone remembers asking for that one toy, or getting that one toy, or the multiple toys, or what have you, and whether it was from your Transformers or whatever. It was just a magical time, and I wanted to talk about it. I figured it'd be a good fun thing to go, kind of reminisce both from childhood and so some more recent. Um, but I thought it could be neat. Christmas has always been a very important day for me. I It was always a big deal in my house. My parents, like, we did not come from means. We were just your typical we're getting by family. But my parents always found a way to spoil us absolutely rotten on Christmas. And it was great as a kid, and somehow, I don't know how it happened, as we grew up, both me, my brother, and my sister, we all adapted the I don't need anything. I just want to hang out. I just want to be with the family. But that never happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's always gifts involved and all that stuff. But, like, I don't know, maybe we were spoiled so early on, like we got it out of our system holidays, despite the fact that I worked retail for 10 years. Um, I I still love it. It's my favorite time of the year. The second it's over, I hate snow and I hate the cold. But um, but leading up to it, I enjoy it. It's fun. I don't know, how were the holidays for you and your family, Alex?
So I grew up with two firefighters, my dad, and then later on my brother once he got on the department. So holidays were never super duper important because sometimes we wouldn't have them when it's supposed to happen. Sometimes
Right.
Thanksgiving wasn't Thanksgiving because Dad was at work or Matt was at work, so it would be the day before or the day after. And the same goes for Christmas. Like we might have Christmas 2 days early because Dad was working, or there's he couldn't be in the house for a while because there was a fire, or there was a blizzard and he couldn't come home right away and he had to stay there in Hartford. Um, and sometimes the same went for my brother, so we would just make do. And that's a thing that I kind of grew up with because I guess through high school, my earliest job working was at a restaurant. So you work all the holidays because that's when everyone goes out to eat. You
Right.
get used to it. Um, which later on in life can get a little tough if your partner doesn't see things the same way. And they say, this is important. You have to be here with my parents for Easter. And you go, nah, like Easter's one of the busiest days at the restaurant. I can't take that
I'm
off.
working.
But yeah.
You were also blessed with what every kid who didn't have, they all fantasized and fetishized it, but it turns out it's terrible. You were blessed with a birthday right near Christmas,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
as me being a stupid child, years ago, a friend of mine was actually born on Christmas growing up.
Hmm.
So all of us were insanely jealous of him because it's obvious it means because you get presents on your birthday
Mm-hmm.
and you get presents on Christmas. If those days fall on the same day, you get double presents.
It's two mountains of stuff.
Exact. You get
No,
twice the amount of presents.
no, it's
It's
not.
both days
Yeah,
on one day.
yeah.
I believe you were the person who kind of broke this to me because this made sense to me for a very long time. And then when I met you back '06 and we started chatting and hanging out and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you broke the news to me that no, it's it's used against you.
Yeah, it's imagine having, let's say, for a general term, let's say normally you might get 5 gifts on Christmas. Well, if your birthday is within 4 days, now you're getting 4 gifts in one of those like slides a few days early to when your birthday is. Sometimes it's still in Christmas wrapping paper.
It's the one they decided was birthday worthy. I guess we'll just give him this one.
So, some time ago, it just came up on my memories or time hop or whatever, where it's like the a black bear and a polar bear doing the fusion dance, and it's initialed like
Yep.
like Christmas gift, birthday gift, and they fuse into just one gift. It's just the one.
I think that was a harsh like reality for me to learn. Like me, I mean I'm a kid, so like is pre Christmas, which is nice. Being a child, give me presents, give me presents. Um,
It gets
but I still it was
it
far enough away.
it flips when you get older. And you get to a point when you're like, well, I don't think I really want anything, or I don't want people to spend money on me, or
Yep.
maybe I'm at a place where I don't have a lot of needs. So sometimes you struggle to come up with something to ask for when everyone goes, well, what do you want for Christmas? And you go, I don't know. I get here's a wish list from Amazon or some crap.
Yep.
And you don't know what to say, and you struggle to come up with something, and you go, well, I guess I could use windshield wiper blades. I I suppose I could. You don't buy me shoes, but maybe like a gift certificate to the shoe place because I need to try them all on. And then they say, okay, we got your Christmas list. Now what do you want for your birthday? And you go, God, man, I worked so hard on the first list.
This is actually one of the things that I wanted to talk about was growing up and presents getting less fun, also like you said, less expected. I dread the yearly because I'm going to get presents for my immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
my wife, my brother, my sister, my mother and father, and that's just I have to because I feel obligated to, and also I like giving them things. I like getting them stuff, and I get super excited with gifts. Like the second I get someone something, I want to give it to them right now. But I getting asked like, "What do you want?" is nothing. Just seriously nothing. Just don't worry about it. Just because a couple years ago, my wife and I took some responsibilities, so now my family comes to my house and we all hang out and we make a ridiculous amount of food, and it's a great time. And my family is able to, I hope, relax and chill and just kind of I get to be with them for a day because it's very difficult for all of us to be together for an extended amount of time with everything, with life. So when my parents ask me like, what do you want? My brother always says you're notoriously difficult to shop for. And I'm like, just don't give me anything. That it's that easy. Just show up in the morning and eat all this food and open a couple things and then have a good time and then maybe play a couple games and that's it. But there's always
it's almost
good.
worse when you're a collector. I imagine a lot of our listeners are also collectors because we talk a lot about collecting art and comics and stuff. And you don't want to risk telling them the wrong thing. Or
Right.
I think we addressed it with some of our toy guests in the past, where it's like I asked for He-Man and I got like the knockoff He-Man, or I asked for a Ninja Turtle and I got Baxter Stockman, and I did not want a Baxter Stockman. I wanted a Raphael. And so it's like you know like what series of Green Lantern you're a fan of. So you can't it's I hate saying it, but you can't trust your loved ones to get you the right Green Lantern book.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
so first
I know
world problems.
exactly
It
what you're talking
sucks.
about.
But it's you know, yeah, I try to tell them like, don't give me comic book stuff. Just don't. Let me. I'll get my own. I know what I want. I have, you know, my own personal wish list that I'm not going to burden anyone else with.
Yep. Just give me a gift card and I'll spend that, and you got me the perfect gift. But I mean, and it goes into the, as you get older, your gifts get less fun, to put
Mhm.
it bluntly, like less extravagant, but somehow they're equally or exciting than like the stuff is. I distinctly remember this happening, and I watched it happen year after year when I was a kid. I'm the middle child. I am blessed with raging middle child syndrome, but that's a whole nother story. My big brother, one of my heroes in life, he's 3 years older than me. And I distinctly remember, because like I said, Christmas is a big deal. My parents spoiled us rotten on this one day of the year, and it was great. Mounds of presents. And as a kid, it's just perfect. And I remember growing up, you get the toys and all the cool stuff. And I remember my brother unwrapping like office supplies one year, and he was psyched. He was like, "Oh my god, this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I asked for." He was over the moon.
Mhm.
Loved it. And I'm sitting here like unwrapping my toys and what's it's, and I'm like, "What happened to you? What what is going on? Are you insane? That's not a toy. It's a slur. You fool." Like, for the things. But now,
Mhm.
and keep in mind, like this was ago too. Um, I totally, a couple years ago, my parents got me a leaf blower, and it was awesome. Like, I was psyched. Uh, Even though I already had a leaf blower, but this was a better leaf blower, and it was great. And like 2 years ago, they got me a fire pit. I've never asked for a fire pit, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then this past year, me and my wife broke it out, and then we were having fires every single weekend. And I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest gift. How did I like write this off? I was such a piece of shit. Um, but like you start to get to that point where the quote unquote less fun things
Mhm.
are just as good. There's the thought behind it, like, and then there's also the practicality, which seems so lame,
Well,
especially as a kid growing up. Like, go ahead.
realizing when you start not buying yourself socks because you're expecting like, well, it's in October. I could use socks now, but if I wait like 2 months, I'll be getting new socks that someone else bought for me.
I'll get socks for free.
It's like it's the boringest thing, but like I started planning that.
Yeah. Yep. It's just, and historically, my father is always very difficult to shop for because he's into a very specific set of things, kind of like what you were just saying. Like, my father is a very avid fan of hiking,
Mhm.
but I don't know what's good or what he needs or wants in regard to hiking. I don't know anything about it. So, like, here's a gift card.
Okay, wait.
Because I don't want to get
I,
him like, oh, hey, here's go ahead.
I have questions. How is he with technology? Like, does he have a smartphone?
Um, he has like an intermediate phone.
Okay.
I he can handle his own.
Mhm.
He does well. Um, I think he's had tablets, and he's always had, the laptops and all that stuff. I think I don't think he's like actively craving the latest tech.
So if he likes to hike, sometimes a lot of hikers like to geocache. We did a whole episode on geocaching. And
I never fucking thought
a
about
thing
that.
you can get someone who hikes in case they also geocache or in case they're curious about starting. They need to have a phone to search locations and get the GPS coordinates and, all the trackers.
Right.
What some hikers do is they'll find a tracker in the geocache that you're supposed to carry to a new location and put it into a new geocache.
Uh-huh.
You can buy those in like groups of 5. So now when you move them, you sometimes there's like a little bug in it, like a GPS thing, or sometimes it just has a code on this GeoTracker website. And so it's like a traveling fish or a traveling, it's like a little wooden cutout or whatever. It's a little doohickey or, whatever tchotchke that you can bring to a new location, and someone else will find that and they'll bring that to a new location. And you, as the originator, you get to track it through this database of like where these little bugs have gone.
So you can be, oh my God, you are upending my entire holiday strategy. I mean, I'm gonna have to save this for next year, but that's gonna be a thing.
Like I've never got it for myself, but I would be psyched to get them because that would encourage me to go hiking more.
So, I forgot where I was going, but it's hard to like, yeah, my father, like I feel terrible getting my dad some shirts and some wool socks, but I know he wants it and I know he's going to use it. But I guess like it's not a sexy gift.
No, yeah.
Which everyone wants to get, I want to get someone the perfect. And even when you get them the fun that like sometimes you just kill it with a gift, and then that gift like it got the pop on Christmas. But then later on, like you see it at the yard sale because it was good for the family laugh, but that's about it.
One time I got a girl a necklace, and it was really sparkly, and for my age at the time was kind of expensive. And then we happened to meet up later in life, and she had her own apartment, and we were like helping her parents do something, and she's like, "Oh look, here's the necklace," at her old room at her parents' place, not where she lives now.
Right.
Because she never took it out of the box.
Oh man, that hurts. But yeah, I guess it's that weird transition phase of going from fun to practical, which I think everyone experiences, but it doesn't, it just, if anything, it just means more. Because it's like, it's not like when we're kids when like you could buy me any toy in the world and I'd probably love it. Like nowadays it's like you gotta think, and you want to be memorable and fun, and I don't know. Gifts are stressful, but also it can be a really good time.
You seem to get along better with your siblings than I do with mine. Because like we get along, but we're not close. So like I don't visit their place, and I don't know what they're up to. So I'm not really sure what's useful for them. Like nothing comes to mind of like, oh, this would be a good thing that they need. That's never going to happen. There was a time years ago, sometime like in my mid-20s, where my mom was telling me that my brother and sister like talked and decided that like they're just not going to get each other anything. They're just not gonna buy each other gifts, and that they should pass that on to me too. My mom's like, yeah, so you don't have to get them anything. But like my brother's 10 years older than me, my sister's 7 years older than me, and I was too young and not cool enough, and never really got included with the cool kids who were older than me.
Yep.
So I was like, well, they didn't talk to me about this, so I've still been getting them stuff, and there have been years where they haven't gotten me anything because we're just not close. But I refuse to back down because I'm stubborn. It's like, no, it's Christmas. You get stuff for Christmas. Here's your Christmas
I care
thing.
about you.
And you're like, well, we had an agreement. I was like, I was not involved in this agreement.
That's your thing. You do you.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna
sometimes
do this. Yeah,
sometimes I get a thing like after Christmas, they're like, oh, we forgot this at home.
sure you did. Sure you did. We'll go with that. Yeah, I mean, this year was actually kind of tough too with everything going. I haven't seen my parents since uh early April
Mm-hmm.
when my mother actually made the news, the local news, because she was making masks and giving them out for free. Um, and she was covered by our one of our local newspapers, which was pretty neat. I I haven't seen my parents since I stopped at their place to like snag a mask. Um, so I had to like message my mom and be like, "What in God's name does Dad want? I don't. I haven't talked to him. I don't know what he's into these days. Like I it was I was really struggling, and she gave me a bunch of boring ideas, and I wasn't happy with it, but like I know it's gonna get used. I know he's gonna like it, so we'll just go with that. Um, it's just another reason why
Sometimes you
2020 is.
ask what's annoying, because that was an idea my mom gave me for my dad. Because they'll be
What do you
sitting.
mean?
So my parents will both in the evening they'll watch TV, but they're both also on their laptop sitting on the couch. And mom's on the couch, dad's on his chair. They're both on the
Hmm.
laptops doing whatever. They're also watching TV, and dad will just start playing some video or some fire call or something like a fails video or something. But he
Hmm.
has the volume all the way up, so it just startles the entire room. And now we can't hear the TV, and mom can't hear what she's doing. And so one time, mom was like, "Can you please get your father some earplugs, like the headphones, just the
Yep.
cord, just to so he can play his videos and listen to them himself." He found a streaming channel that will play Hartford Dispatch for fire calls and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, so he'll listen to that constantly sometimes if there's a big fire, and mom won't get any peace. So she'll be able to nudge him down and be like, "Hey, put in your headphones. Just put they're red like a fire truck. Just put them on." So so sometimes ask people, what do you find annoying? So how can we fix this with a present?
That is absolutely brilliant because it's like a present for two people. I am going to adopt that strat. Like you are, we should have talked about this years ago. Your approach to the holidays is methodical, and I mean, I guess I'm not surprised. Um, I wanted to talk about, and like you said, at the risk of sounding first world problemy, I figured it would be fun to talk about like our childhood, growing up, because there's always like, I don't know about you, but I've seen the memes, and I feel like I'm not the only one who did it. One of the staples of the holiday season was getting the tome from Sears, the Sears catalog,
Ours was
the
J.C.
holiday catalog.
Penney.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be either or.
Yeah.
JC. I believe I also had JC Penney as well. Um, and then it's go through
Mm-hmm.
and circle the stuff you want.
Oh, we couldn't
Which
do that.
really,
Yeah, no, I was told to make a list, not to circle anything,
huh?
because then, like, they're gonna flip through and not see everything I want. So I'd have to write it. I get made fun of to this day, since I was 7 years old, and so I would write down the title of what it is, like the GI
Hmm.
Joe headquarters, and I would write down the page number so they know where to find it, and then I'd write down like the description of it and the price that's in the book and the ordering information and like the SKU number. And I would even like include the C in a circle that was something's copyrighted. I'd write down everything because I can't just write down G.I. Joe headquarters because they're not going to know what to order. Again, it might be the wrong thing. So I have to get it like exactly correct. And my crappy, like scratchy handwriting, I would write down everything and like fill up 2 pages. And they're like, yeah,
You were thorough though.
even the TM and the C in a circle.
It's like it. no room for error.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if you just wrote GI Joe, that could be so much stuff. It could be a GI Joe that you already have.
Yeah.
Notice I did the whole referring to GI Joe as a whole. Every single GI Joe is known as GI Joe,
Uh, mm.
which when I was a kid, that's the way it was. I didn't know any of the names. It was just, hey, do you want to play with my GI Joes? Plural, even though they were all separate characters. Growing up, I adopted the circling strategy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If my parents were real lucky, me and my siblings would use different color markers, but sometimes they would have to take a guess.
Uh-huh.
And luckily my sister tended to go toward the more feminine toys. I think there was a much stronger line back then between, like, remember when toys used to say, like, this is for boys and
Yeah.
this is for girls,
Yeah.
and that's that. It's not so much nowadays, but back in the day it was divided pretty hard like that. But at least between me and my brother, I think my parents also knew or had a good idea of what kid would circle what. But it was a tradition. You get the catalog and you skip through all the clothes because nobody wants clothes. Come on, let's be real here.
No, yeah.
And you get toys and you circle all the toys, and it's great. Immediately, your stupid child brain, you assume that you're obviously gonna get everything you circled, and then you get excited for it. And then when you don't get everything you circled, how could this happen? Turns out you're a stupid, spoiled child like myself. But anyways, growing up, asking for presents, I wanted to go over some of the highlights, I guess, um, between like stuff that we wanted. Was there like that one thing that you always really wanted but like never really got? Um, something that you were shocked, holy shit, I did get this thing. That's awesome. Random things like that, just to kind of reminisce. Hopefully, I'd really like to hear what listeners have to say about this kind of stuff. Most of my answers are gonna like kind of gravitate toward this is also kind of why I want to talk about it, toward like the nerdy shit. Um, some of these stories actually might be a little repetitive. I think I may have discussed them in the past, but I figure it would be fun to put them all in one place and get festive. Um, I'm gonna kick it off like
Mm-hmm.
one of my most memorable ever gifts, and I can literally still picture unwrapping it like right now. And I know I've told this story, was the turtle sets.
Mm-hmm.
So there were the two sets. There was the Technodrome, and there was like the sewer set, like the turtles like layer.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother one year, or this is all in the same year, my brother got the Technodrome, which arguably is one of like the coolest toys ever made.
It is.
And I got the sewer set, and you could connect them with like sewer pipes. And I thought that was the single coolest thing in the world. But that also meant like getting my brother to, because when we were kids, me and my brother didn't get along very well. We fought a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So getting the Technodrome to play with sometimes was difficult. But I still like I can picture everything in that set. I absolutely went insane. It like stopped Christmas. Like, oh hey, I opened this thing. I need to play with this right now. This is going to be the rest of, like, usually it's just a madhouse of tearing open presents.
Mm-hmm.
We're ripping, papers flying everywhere. But like this is my thing right now. I need to play with this immediately. Oh dear, Merle.
You heard something. That's the first.
But I think that probably stands out as like one of the most significant gifts, at least from my childhood, was those turtle sets, which unfortunately the sewer set,
Mm-hmm.
I think because it had so many pieces and like you had to like assemble each wall,
Mm-hmm.
it was like 3 walls, and then the fourth wall was like where you could, it didn't exist. You were the fourth wall.
Right.
And then the top. And I remember like each pieces individually, I had to like stick it into the base, and it could fall apart pretty easily if you weren't careful. And I'm pretty sure a bunch, if not all of them, maybe lost. I know we still have like the body to the Technodrome, but the guts have been lost for a while. Um, but I do need to. I've been meaning to go back to my parents' house for a while. I mean, there's a whole pandemic going on, but
Yeah.
Ninja Turtle stuff, it's all in a box, man. And I've been dying to go through it, take a look. But man, those sets, those are some of the top tier shit.
So, friends of mine, they came up with the brilliant idea to open their kids' toys ahead of time and pre-assemble them, so that when they open them on Christmas or birthday or whatever, it's already all together. Like, the sewer set's already built, the Technodrome's already built, the GI Joe. Let's see, one of the jets that I got.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look for it. I got the Hurricane VTOL.
Damn.
Was a Cobra vehicle. The wings could like turn, so it was like a Harrier jet, and it could fly
Right.
like straight up and down. Yeah, like as a kid, you open the gift, and then you got to wait 2 hours for everyone else to finish opening their stuff, and then you crack it open, and then you got to try and assemble it, and you can't do it. So you ask your parents for help, or your older brother, they got to put it together for you. You just wait, staring at this thing, not playing with it, waiting. And then by the time it's time to play
Then
with
you
it,
need batteries.
now it's dinner time or something. You got to put it down again. You can't play with it. Well, you didn't put the stickers on, right? So these brilliant people would just do that ahead of time and wrap up the completed toy with batteries already in it. Like if anyone was gonna gift the Wii U in the past, one of the ideas one of the ideas was to open it up and just do the 8-hour update.
It was insane.
Get that update done, and then you could give it to them. So when they open it, they could just start playing.
Dude, like that. I remember that, and I got my brother got a Wii U for Christmas, and I remember like he was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and this is pretty recent. Like we were not much older than we are now, and he was like, "Oh my god, let's plug this in. We can play some games." And I was like, "Okay, it might be done by dinner."
Maybe it was more like
that,
3, not
that
8.
day one
still.
Wii U, man. It was that was brutal. That was a distinct thing. That was an interesting day one patch, but that's pretty brilliant to put the toys together. I don't know if I would have liked that as a kid. I liked opening stuff, whether that was the actual product out of the box. But I absolutely get like, if your parents didn't think ahead and snack some batteries, man, you could because stores aren't. Oh, you can't go get batteries.
You hit up the gas station
on Christmas, right? Gas stations like 7-Eleven, I think, had them as well. But man, that turtle stuff. I don't know how much, because you're a couple years older than me, and we discussed this a little bit. Like there might be a little bit of a difference in the age gap. Like I think it's less prevalent now. It still happens every now and then, but you remember every year growing up, there's the one thing, like the hot toy that everyone's clamoring for. They did an episode on it in The Office with Princess Unicorn, and everyone wants that one toy, and you can't find it anywhere. And then when you do find it, you see the videos of people freaking out and breaking down doors for it. Case in point, something like Tickle Me Elmo. Remember Tickle Me Elmo?
Yep.
It was an Elmo doll that vibrated and laughed when you tickled it. Fantastic. Apparently, everyone needed it.
Kids aren't even going to remember that.
Right.
Like it wasn't that important. It
wasn't.
When I was very young, that thing was Cabbage Patch Dolls.
Yes. Yep.
Those were things where like my dad was saying like the mob's getting involved. Because like a pallet would either disappear or show up where it's supposed to, and they don't know how it got there. The mob did it.
According to the internet, Tickle Me Elmo was, it looks like in around 1996. So I was 10 years old, which, yes, I was a kid. I was young. 10 is young. I don't know if 10 is quite Elmo age. Elmo might be a little bit younger,
Mm-hmm.
but I distinctly remember I wanted it. I wanted a damn Tickle Me Elmo. And I was psyched because, and this is going to be like two stories in one.
Mm-hmm.
We're going over some life lessons here, people. For any younger kids listening in, don't peek, don't peek at your presents, because it turns out you ruin everything, and then you're gonna have a shitty day. I the year that Tickle Me Elmo was the shit, I really wanted one, and you know, I'll be the first to admit it's because it was the popular thing. I wanted the popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, I didn't know that's why I wanted it. I wanted to Tickle Me Elmo. Elmo's great. Of course I want this. Why wouldn't I? But I was just going with the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my parents always kept the presents in the basement. You know, they did their best to like hide it like under sheets and stuff, but 2 seconds of effort, you could see the entire stack. And one year, the year of Tickle Me Elmo, which is apparently 1996, I needed to know, so I went downstairs and I peeked. I peeked at presents, and I saw there was a Tickle Me Elmo,
Mm-hmm.
and like I was psyched. Hell yeah, I'm getting it. My parents clutched it. They pulled through. My day is going to be full of a giggling stuffed animal, and it's going to be great. And then I also saw a bunch of other presents. It was going to be the best Christmas ever. And then, you know, the unwrapping happens, and I see a bunch of stuff, and like I'm realizing as I'm opening, I'm like, man, this isn't as fun as it usually is. What the hell's going on? And and then I get to the end of my presents, and I have no Tickle Me Elmo, but my brother does.
Oh.
My brother, my brother unwrapped a Tickle Me Elmo, but I didn't.
Huh.
And I remember that was one of the most like disappointing moments of my life, because not only did I ruin Christmas for myself by peeking at my presents, but I ruined it because like by peeking presents, I then thinking something was for me, but it turns out it wasn't for me. I didn't have the thing. My brother had the thing. Everything is awful.
Did you like tell your friends you were getting it too?
I don't recall telling my friends. I think I was too scared of getting in trouble for peeking. Like I was convinced that they would tell my parents, just because that's the kind of neurotic idiot that I am. But I was I was convinced that I was getting that Tickle Me Elmo, and I did not. My apparently, if it was 1996, that means my brother would have been 13. My 13-year-old brother got the Tickle Me Elmo, and it wasn't me. And I never, ever, ever peeked at presents ever again, because that was one of the worst years. Like it just sucked, man. Like it sucked. Don't ruin it for yourself, kids. Don't peek. Don't peek at those presents.
Okay. So here's where some things come together. My mom went shopping and came back with one of my presents, but I was home. And so she was trying to like sneak it into the house without me seeing it.
Yep.
And the Toys R Us bag was a little bit transparent, and you could see through it. And when an adult tells you don't look, you're going to turn around and look anyway.
Oh yeah, you're 100% looking.
And so I saw my gift. I also found that too, because I wanted to look up all my G.I. Joe stuff. I'm on yojo.com and I looked up all the vehicles. And this was the Avalanche, which was a snow vehicle that like shot discs, and a separate like thing came off. There was actually two vehicles in one. It was awesome. But I saw the box, and I was like, and my mom called me a brat for looking when I wasn't supposed to. And I was like, oh, well, now I know what I'm getting for Christmas. But then I got it for my birthday instead.
Oh.
I was thrown for a loop. I was like, that's going to be the Santa gift? Because, like, eventually like, Santa brings you something that's, like, usually the big thing. And I was like, oh, that's probably going to be the Santa gift. And then it wasn't. So I don't know if I got myself a better gift out of being a brat in, what year was this? This was in 1990. I was 9.
It's
Not to be
my parents
confused
had.
with the snow tank from 87, which was completely different.
Yeah, that tank can. I never had a lot of GI Joe. There's one thing I remember that I was distinct, and I was just on. I went to Yojo, and I was trying to find it as you were talking, but
It's by
I
year.
had it was a red. It was a Cobra vehicle, and it
Uh-huh.
was red, and it was like a hovercraft.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember I used to play with it when I would take a bath as a kid.
Yeah, it was a water
I didn't
toy.
know what it was. I didn't have a whole lot of GI Joe stuff, but I had that one thing, and then that one got a lot of use. My Go ahead.
There's embarrassing ones too.
Oh,
For some reason, there was like a synth guitar that just had a few buttons on it that would play like either a couple notes, and then there were square buttons that would play a repeating tune, and it had a whammy bar, so you could like wah wah wah, like whatever you were doing. Never figured out if I could make it like repeat or whatever. Um, but for some reason, I decided I really needed it, and my parents got it for me, and now I regret it because I feel like I could have had something cooler.
you wasted it.
I'm like I'm watching the commercial for it from '89, and I'm like,
You like cringing at your past self.
what was I thinking? It might be one of those things where like my friend thought it was really cool, so therefore I had to also think it was cool.
Yep. Yep. Totally get it.
That's
I found it on Yojo, by the way.
oh,
It's the Rat.
it's a bad name.
It's called the Rat. And man, I'm just getting a wave of nostalgia. High speed attack hovercraft. First released boxed in US toy stores in 1992, discontinued in 1993.
Oh, it's a '92.
Man,
Okay,
this
let's
is
see.
bringing me back. Bringing me back. Yo, this site's rules.
Right? Oh,
um,
that wasn't bad because
right? That thing was
those things like spun off the sides. They were like some kind of
yeah.
floating mines or whatever. I think
Oh
I had one
man.
of those.
Right? Those things are sweet. That's all I remember. Which ones?
The headquarters.
Headquarters.
Yeah.
Clicking. Okay, I'm getting there. Oh man.
Yeah, that
Oh
thing was.
baby.
It's. I would have all of the vehicles like try to attack it and stuff, and there were points on when it was either opened or closed. If you hit a special like pad, like part of it would fall off because it was like spring loaded.
Right.
Or it would like take damage and stuff. That was. I'm
Battle damage.
I'm almost 40, and I'm still psyched over my headquarters G.I. Joe from 1992.
Dude, it's so sweet.
Holy shit! You know they're still in my parents' basement. A lot of these.
I
I still
we might
have
have to
them.
do like a photo shoot. I
I also pulled out a picture of the Hammerhead vehicle from 1990
oh
because that was like a water-based vehicle, but it had wheels. But there was like 3 other submarines that detached from it, and they were super cool.
I just found it. Hammerhead. Oh
Yeah,
my.
yeah.
Yep.
So those 2 side ones came
1990.
off. You could actually bring those in the pool, and they go like a missile. You just like you
The
ever throw like a torpedo in the pool? It's awesome.
the driver was the Decimator. He was packaged exclusively with the Cobra Hammerhead.
Yeah, some Joes didn't come in single packages; they only came with vehicles.
This site's cool. It has like easily broken / lost pieces, variations. This
Hmm.
is in depth. I forget that people
And
really, really like GI Joe.
and if you're a collector, you can log in and sign up, and you go through and you have a click for I have it or I want it.
Right.
I might do that
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. Okay. I gotta
Yeah.
get off the site.
So
I didn't.
what do you have? Go ahead.
GI Joes weren't even. But I was gonna go on to a sticking with the kind of like the popular route
Hmm.
for a hot second. I will say because my parents did manage to get my brother a Tickle Me Elmo, which at the time insane. and again, we didn't come from means. You know, we were just kind of like your average family growing up. Um, it wasn't it wasn't crazy. But my parent on Christmas, we were spoiled rotten. And I will say that one year in apparently 1998, because I guess that was the year it happened. All three of us, me, my brother, and my sister, we each got Furbies, which and they were all unique Furbies. They were all different from one another. I remember mine was gray with like black dots. My brother's was like all black with like a white stomach. Mine had a pink stomach, and you could make them talk. Oh my God, Furbies were so dumb, dude. They were so dumb. But it was 1998. I
Yeah.
was 12 years old. I want one more than anything in the world.
It's
If I
incredible
don't get a
technology.
Furby, they blink, dude. And they have sensors in their forehead, and you can when you press on the tongue, it eats apparently. And all three of us got Furbies, and it was incredible. Oh my God, can you imagine it? My mom was over the moon, like with herself, deservedly so. I get like we've talked to her about it years later. Like she had to lay the guilt trip. She did what she needed to do to get those damn Furbies. And for a solid month, they were everything. They were our entire life. It was great. We made them talk, and that's about it. And then I distinctly remember my Furby one day, the batteries got really low. Like years later, I found it like cleaning my room, and I turned it like, I went to activate it or whatever, and the batteries were so low, like the eyes just half opened, so it looked like the Undertaker, and then it just went, like it was just dead, and it was like possessed straight up. And I remember I moved across the room, and the tray like exploded, and that was the end of my Furby. And right now, I feel awful. Like I got hit with like a twang of guilt because of thinking about what my mother went through to get me that. And then the end result was just me throwing it across the room like a spoiled piece of shit. But for what it's worth, like my parents they almost always found a way to get the at least like one of the main things that we really wanted, and I don't know. I doubt my parents are ever going to listen to this, but I'm super thankful for like the effort that they put in, given the fact that we were just kind of that average family growing up. It's not like, they had a connection with Hasbro or whoever the hell made Furby, Tiger. But man, those Furbies, dude. Remember that shit? 1998. What a year. What a year. Were you big into video games, like the consoles? Were those a part of your?
No, I was way behind.
Right.
My brother bought a Nintendo, and he has since become famously anti-video game. It's kind of gotten to like a point of contention where, yeah, sometimes all I hear is him complaining about turbo thumbs and get off the couch. And I'm like, you like to sit in a boat in the cold wind with a stick and some string. And you sit on your butt and you get a cold. I'm inside sitting on my butt with a controller. We're not much different, but you think it's better because you call it fishing. And then I'm like, hey, I went to a gigantic trade show called PAX, which is based on video games. It's $1 billion industry, and it's really cool. And like, he doesn't care. But yeah, we had
Classic.
we had a Nintendo, and then that was it until I got a Dreamcast.
Damn.
So like all the levels of game that happened between there, I was not a part of until I bought like the Dreamcast off of a friend for
Right.
I don't know, for a couple bucks. And then it was tough to like find that I was buying like a memory card off of eBay because there was nowhere to buy it from.
VMU.
Yeah. And from there, it was on to an original Xbox and then a PS3. And I didn't get the PS3
Right.
until it was already out for like 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah, so like all that, like I would ask for them, but I just wouldn't get them, and I wasn't that into them. And what also hurt slash helped was that I didn't have many friends. I was pretty lonely. So like
Right.
when you guys are all talking about playing GoldenEye together, well, I never had that. I never had friends to play GoldenEye with or Smash Brothers.
Right. I and it harp on the same theme, but I kind of like what you said with the PlayStation. It was always a little later. Like we got the I distinctly it was I distinctly remember the getting the N64, and it was closer to the end of its life than the beginning.
Mm.
Like we definitely did not get it in 1996, and I remember my childhood best friend, this guy Tim, had an N64, and I remember the first time I ever saw it, he was playing GoldenEye, and I didn't even realize that video games could do this kind of stuff. And I remember I bought the GoldenEye strategy guide before I even had an N64. I just wanted to I wanted more of it, but it was
Mm-hmm.
the only way I could do it. And eventually, like a couple years later, we wound up getting one, with GoldenEye and all that stuff. Still have it. Still have the N64 that we got back in, I don't know when it was, 90, 98, 99. Um, and still have all the games, all the actual original con. I did have to buy some new cords a couple years like
Mm-hmm.
ago, but it still fired right up. Still works. Is awesome. But we always got it like a little bit later. So like we did get the N64, but a little bit down the road. But which, if anything, it might be better because then there's more games, more availability. It's just, we didn't have the new hotness right now. Um, I will say, and I'm not sure if you have your own answer for this, but I think one of the most, like, did you ever get that one gift that my example is, I don't know what year it was. It was probably when I was like maybe 14. I got a bike. I got my first bike that wasn't a hand me down. It wasn't, oh, this used to be your brother's, or
Mm-hmm.
this was, we found well, our neighbor's done with this one because he outgrew it. Here, have this. I got my first ever bike. It was a Mongoose KO, like knockout KO,
Okay.
and it was a BMX bike. It had a gyro on the handlebars. You could spin, even though it had brakes, you could spin around as many times you want. Um, it had pegs, and it didn't have pedal brakes, so you could spin the pedal backwards.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my first adult bike, um, and I rode that bike like religiously until literally the bearings in the wheels completely like stripped, and it could not be used anymore. Um, I probably put more miles on that bike than my current car. Like that thing was, and when I got it, I remember being like, "Oh, that's really cool. Great. Rest of my presents, where are they?" um, but that bike ended up being one of the most like significant things like of my childhood because it was my means of transportation. It was how me and my friends always got, we got around town.
Mm-hmm.
I could I could get to my friend's house in 5 minutes instead of walking there in 20. Um, it was freedom, and it was the best. And I've looked online multiple times to see if I could find it again, and I've never been able to find like the same one, um, which is kind of a bummer. And I remember I wanted to fix the bike for years, and one day I went to my parents. I was like, "Hey, I wanted to see if I could fix my bike. Do you know where my mongoose went?" And my my parents like looked at each other because I think it was my father. He threw it out.
Hmm.
It wound up went into the trash, and I didn't even know. And that was the end of that. But man, my bike, that mongoose, man, the things you love, because I love that damn bike.
I don't recall a lot of things that like made my entire Christmas.
Mhm.
Um, but there's one, the longest lasting thing.
Mhm.
It's not going to be a surprise. I was a weird kid, and I was even weirder in high school because I needed to be different because I didn't want to be just like everyone else. So I had to be some kind of weirdo.
We've
But
all been there.
yeah, still kind of do it a little bit. Um,
Fuck it.
if anyone who listens to the show isn't a stranger to the fact that I'm a big fan of Conan the Barbarian. I have all
Yep.
the novel books. I buy a bunch of the comic books, and it's the Barbarian's one of my favorite movies. The story it exists. Um, but there was a time when cassettes were old news and CDs were this cool new thing. And even if it wasn't like the newest thing, realizing that there are movie songs on CDs and not just bands that I don't really know about or care about. And I asked for a Conan the Barbarian soundtrack
Hmm.
because I dug the movie and my parents got it for me. And I was psyched and I wanted to play it that day. And my parents like, can we just play Christmas music and not play whatever this is? And I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's okay. I'd play it in my car, I'd play it at home. I would play it a lot while I was working out because I wanted to be a tough wrestler guy. And so
Hmm.
I'd like some of the songs were just these droning, like one of the situations in the movie is called Wheel of Pain. And there's a song for Wheel of Pain. Um, and it's bad workout music, but I really dug it. Uh, and I still have it to this day. And
You still have the CD?
oh yeah, yeah. There,
No shit.
I went to a concert sometime in my mid 20s. Not a con. It was a show. It was like at what's that sketchy place in Hartford? The Webster.
I immediately knew what you're talking about.
I'm like somewhere between 24 and 27. I'm at a show at the
Yep.
Webster. Um, I meet a friend of a friend. This guy is taking pictures. He's a photographer for the bands or whatever. He's reporting or something. He's in front of the barricades. He gets to get real close to the band. He's taking pictures. One of the bands comes out and there's music playing. And the guy's like, what is this? And I go, oh, it's Battle of the Mountains from the Conan soundtrack. Like, I knew the name of the song. And, like, he goes in his notepad and starts writing down, like, Battle of the Mountains. Like,
Oh, you did it. It paid off.
yeah. Like, I don't think anyone else there would have had that information.
Oh yeah.
What really pissed me off was that there have been a number of similar, like, sword fighting knights in armor movies that
Hmm.
have used parts of the Conan soundtrack in their trailers
And you
because
know.
because for a while it was like an associative movie, like you associate sword fighting and barbarians and blood and junk like that with Conan and you think it's going to be good, but then like when the movie happens, it's not the movie, it's just the soundtrack or just the trailer rather. That's what I mean. Like how the voice for Gladys GLaDOS
Yeah, yeah. From
was
Portal.
right. Her voice was in the trailer for Pacific Rim.
Hmm.
But then, like, it wasn't her voice in Pacific Rim, and they had to change it because everyone was flipping out about it.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
I vaguely remember that
yeah. The Gladys
because she
voice.
ended up being in the movie.
She eventually, yeah, because they
Right.
found out she wasn't in the movie, but in the trailer, and they were like, "What is this garbage?" So they had to fix it.
Right. I going into kind of recent as we because I think we're getting toward the end of our time here, and I would
Yeah.
be remiss if I didn't tell this story. Um, and she might be a little mad at me, depending on how much I divulge, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about like recent things
Mm-hmm.
because my wife, when we first met in the first years of like our friendship, historically hated Christmas, despised it. Not a fan. It just wasn't a good time for her. And then as we got to know each other, I started getting like, we all our big joke is, hey, I bought this thing, but I have no use for it. So I guess here you have it. That was my way of getting her a Christmas present without saying, hey, here's a present.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew she didn't really dig Christmas. So I didn't want to like force it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say, hey, I bought this. I don't know. Maybe you'll have some use for it, even though it's a thing that's specifically for you. um, Even to this day, 10 years later, we still say the exact same thing. Like, hey, I got something in the mail today that I don't have any use for. Maybe you'll find use for it. But I distinctly remember one of the first times that my wife actually got me something for Christmas was she got me a graded copy, a 9.8 graded copy of Chew #1, which was the first print as well. At that point, the only copy that I owned was the third print, and it was just a raw, unslabbed copy. And I distinctly remember freaking the fuck out, thinking like, this had to have cost you a ridiculous amount of money. And this is well before we were ever married or anything like that. Like we were just seeing each other at the time. But I keep looking over my shoulder, like seeing if she's like listening, because she's in the house right now.
So she didn't get that for herself by accident and not have a use for
it? That's exactly what happened. Yeah, she accidentally bought a thing. She had no use for it, so she gave it to me, hoping that maybe I could find something to do with it. And it is one of my most prized possessions, because she knew I would never buy it for myself, because it would just be too much money and what have you. But she did snag me the first issue, the rarest issue, in pristine condition of my favorite comic book, which it's literally like 6 inches from me right now. It stays by my computer with my other graded books, but that was the most impactful and important gifts like of my adult life. Oh, my wife just texted me and I'm like, oh God, did she hear me? Anyways, so yeah, shout out. She's really cool. I just addressed her and then addressed her in the I don't know. Anyways, my grammar's poor. I'm getting really I'm getting emotional. So
I remember the time you were telling me you were looking at like a copy later on in the series, but it was like a rare variant cover. And like you were thinking of buying, and she was like stressing because she already got it for you, and like trying to be like, "Don't you buy that one?"
Yep. That was a couple years later. She got me like 3 or 4 issues, like just in a bundle, like just different variants, or like because this is at a time when I went kind of crazy with Chew. Like it was my first like favorite book, and like I could start from #1 and read on, and I was reading it as it was coming out. It wasn't like, oh, this wrapped up 6 years ago. So that's why I own it in so many different formats. And I wanted to like be a completionist and collect all the issues, and which included a couple of the rare variants, like convention exclusive stuff. And she had snagged me a couple that I had missed out on. Can't remember exactly what they were, but she clutched it. She knew exactly which ones I didn't have. Like it was, she does her research, man. It's kind of scary. But
have you ever gotten an IOU?
IOU. Let me.
Like the person orders a thing for you, but it didn't come in
Right.
time, so you just get a box with a piece of paper that says IOU. And when the thing comes in, then you can actually have it, and like they don't have to wrap it up because they wrapped up the note that says IOU.
Right. Yeah, I've already wrapped a thing, so I don't think I've ever gotten anything like really noteworthy. Just like, oh, I ordered this small thing and it's not here yet, so I did have to do that. with my wife 2 years ago, and I was so upset. Real quick story: I got her. My wife likes to bake. She really likes baking, and especially on Christmas, there's a lot of baking to do, a lot of cooking to do. My wife, vegetarian for pretty much her entire adult life, cooks one of the meanest turkeys that I've ever had in my life. Um, I got her an apron off Etsy that says "Let's bake shit," and I was so excited for it. And it was supposed to arrive the day before Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be here just in time because we usually do presents on Christmas Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be awesome because she could wear the apron while on Christmas when she's making everything. Turns out, got delayed. We didn't get it until the 26th,
Oh,
so everything was ruined.
so close.
It was so close. Anyways, did you have an IOU
Um,
story?
no, not a particular one, but there's been a few throughout our family that I too have adopted.
Mm.
And I've told like others, like they want to get me something, they don't know if it's getting here in time. I was like, just write an IOU. Just I'm used to it.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to be immediate. It could be like 6 months from now. Hey, remember IOU?
Yeah.
It's a way of buying. It's like in Dumb and Dumber. Those are as good as cash. That's an IOU. But anyways, I didn't expect us to run this long with it, but I'm happy we did.
Yeah.
Um, Christmas and the holidays can be a very fun time. Um, Presents can be fun. Again, you don't even. It's just one of those things. Like it's like a bonus these days. As a kid, I expected it. I wanted it. I was a spoiled little piece of shit. But nowadays, it's like just and this year is going to be a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
because obviously I cannot hang out with my family, um, which is kind of a bummer. We're trying to work on setting up like a Zoom call or something. Um, and I'm gonna like play Santa Claus and deliver presents to my family from a distance.
Hmm.
Um, but my brother being extremely high risk, my brother is a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he's up until recently he was teaching in class, so he's exposed to it on a daily basis, um, or potentially exposed, excuse me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just not something we can risk. So we gotta play it safe this year and wait until next year. I saw a lot of jokes on Twitter today. It's like next year we get to have two Christmases. Um,
That's a good idea.
right? Exactly. um, but so this year's going to be a little bit different.
Yo,
It's not going to be
get me,
quite
give me Cyberpunk 2077 next year. It might be fixed by
right.
then. It'll be done.
Oh, with any luck. um, did you see they pulled it from the PlayStation
I
Store?
did. Yikes.
Unbelievable. I don't know if that's like unprecedented, but goddamn,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother episode. Um, but yeah, I mean, the holidays can be fun. If we hope, I don't know really where I'm trying to go with this. Hope your holidays are enjoyable this year. Please, for the love of God, be safe. Um, it's not worth getting sick to eat nasty potatoes with your family. Um, but there's a vaccine now, so at least there's that. Um, but
Two of them.
everyone, right? Yeah, right. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, everyone just be safe. I hope holidays are somewhat enjoyable. And then next year, like I said, we get to have two of them. You have my permission to have two Christmases or two holidays, two whatevers you celebrate. Um, but again, I want to hear what other people have to say. So if there was that present that you wanted, you didn't get, or something that you got someone that you were generally psyched over, or even just your tradition that you look forward to, or what have you. If you feel like sharing it, let us know. Drop it in the comments or whatever. We're looking forward to hearing it.
One time I got a girlfriend a spare tire because she got a flat, and I went to her car while she was working and got it fixed. So then during the party that evening, I just gave her an envelope with like a Lego tire inside of it and said, "That's That's your present. I did it.
It's practical, but you also you could have just like walked her out to her car and been like, "Look at your tire." But I think the Lego tire, it's that little extra
Yeah, I try.
that makes it extraordinary. It's the little things. Anyways, it was fun. Alex, thanks for doing this with me. This is kind of my last minute. Hey man, can we talk about Christmas? And you're like, yeah, whatever. So I appreciate you humoring me and letting me ride that nostalgia train for the last hour. But again, drop some comments. Let us know. Talk about some happy, jovial times if you want, and good stuff. I'm rambling. That's it.
Let us know if you want that clip of that synth guitar or any of my old G.I. Joes. Like, I don't know if I'm going to post them just on purpose or if I'm going to need some encouragement.
True. Yeah. If you want to see the Joes, if you want to see the collections, I might be able to, hopefully we'll be able to get to my parents and dig out my turtles. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, again, let us know. We want to provide you with the content that you want. So hopefully this content was one you wanted. Talking about presents. Being spoiled little assholes. Anyways, that's going to do it. Thank you for listening. Until next time, I've been JR.
I'm Alex.
And this has been episode 418 of Opinions May Vary. Hey everyone, if you liked that episode, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Opinions May Vary, and on Twitter and YouTube at OMV Podcast. You can also find us on Spotify or on our very own website at omvpodcast.com. And if you're looking for merch, we have stickers and pins available over at omvpodcast.bigcartel.com while supplies last. As always, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought in the comments, and we will see you next time.